Good morning, students. Today we are going to read the content colonialism and tribal society. Previous section you have read about that how Britisher exploit the peasants by introducing so many taxes on them, and now the turn of tribal societies, and tribal people always look take care of the forest, and they know about that forest belong to them because forest provide the things to the tribal communities, and they also lived in the forest areas. That's why they are we can say that tribal society depend on the forest product. And tribal communities, those who are going to practice in those who belongs to India, Gonds of Odisha, those who practice the shifting cultivation, okay, and one Gujar of Himalayas, J&K, Gaddis of your own state, HP, and lived herding and rearing of the animal. Amongst Chota Nagpur, Mundas belong to Chota Nagpur. You know about in Hindi you have read about Munda, Birsa Munda, okay, and the land belong to the clan as a whole, and all members depend on the forest and equal rights on the land. And next, what impact of the colonialism on the tribal life? British rule the chief lost कि when they adopt the when they start to exploit the tribal community, tribal society. On that time, this needs the all power of the tribal chief, and were forced to follow the law made by the British officers. Okay, and British did not want to shifting cultivation because it was very tough for them to collect the timber wood, and difficult to control the movement of tribals also. If they are going to shifting the cultivation, then they change their own place, and then it was very difficult for the Britisher how they will be control on them. And but the tribal wanted to continue shifting cultivation because you know about that when we are going to start agriculture on a one piece of land, on that time this land, if this land lose their fertility, then we go to another land by shifting cultivation. And change made in the forest law by Britisher meet the tribal, because the law made by the Britisher, it was very difficult for the tribal community to adopt them, because they also by that they also lost their own horses, and most of the forests were cleared as the state property, especially the reserve forest. In next class you will read about that forests are also divided into three parts, and the reserve forest which they used for only timber, because if there are there will be a tall forest, tall trees there, and this one is good for Britisher because they always used this type of wood for making houses, and used for the ships, navy ships, and railway tracks. That's why they need the timber, and they cleared the forest for the plant the like that timbers which they used for activities done by the Britisher in Europe, like railways, making ship, and horses. And many tribal has to move to other area in search of, if they have no work with them, then they will be not able to sit in one place, and they going to search in the livelihood from one place to another, and this created shortage of laborers. And when they leave the place on that time, it created a shortage of labor to the Britisher also, because who will take out the material from the forest, and who will cut down the tree and transport the logs from forest area to up to railways. That's why they also need the labor. And during 19th century, when the demand for the forest increased, the trader and money lender took advantages of the situation. As you know that when the demand of the anything on that time, you know about a trader and money lenders always took the advantages of the situation and increase the rate and give the low wages to the labor. You know about that. And they went to the tribal and offered them. And you know about that. Traders and money lenders always offered the tribals we will give you loan, and but there is a need to do the work for us, and if you have no money, then we will provide you. Okay, by that they are going to exploit the labor and tribal community. Your British traders, money lender, all involved this activity. It led to further misery of tribals, and this led to the misery to of the tribal, because they led a miserable life there. They earlier they lost their horses because controlled forest controlled by the Britisher, and now they are also exploited by the traders and money lenders. And Santals of Hazaribagh in Jharkhand and West Bengal, boundary of West Bengal, and who reared silkworm for production of cocoon. Who reared those who are depend on the cocoons, production of cocoons. You know about that, from where we are going to obtain the silk. When demand for silk increased, efforts were made to encourage silk production. When demand of silk increased in European country also, and they also made the silk production, encouraged the silk production, and traders, their agent, and the British also appointed one person, and they give the name to Gomastas and appoint them to take the cocoon and cotton from the raw material from them, and take it in a cheap rate, and after that they sold in Europe in a high rate and earned a lot of profit of them. And there is a many middlemen approach the growers. Middlemen approach the grower mean there where they know about that silk cocoon, production of silk cocoon is there. On that time they give the those who are going to involve in this activity to grow the to in the production of cocoon. They gave them cash loan and collect cocoon from them. Cash loan mean that they have no tribal community, and growers have not money. On that time they said to them, we will give the cash loan and collect the cocoon. And maybe you know about read about that ki just paid rupees 3 for 1000 cocoons. You know about that. This one is a we produced cocoon by the mulberry trees. Mulberry trees, you also know tooth. Okay, and the cocoon, they produced production of cocoon by the leaves of the mulberry trees, and then they sold, and 3 rupees they give the money 1000 when they going to purchase the 1000 cocoon. On that time they give only 3 rupee. Okay, and sold them it 5 times more. Then 5 times more, sold them at 5 times more. How much profit gained by them? Okay, mean ki too much profit gained by them. And you know about that, growers only got 3 rupee. When the tribal community came to know of the reality, on that time they shocked कि they were paying us only 3 rupee, and they take the 1000 cocoon, and they were going to exploit them. And they shocked and started considering the traders as their enemy, and they think about that they all are Britisher, and mediators and middle person and your traders all were exploited the growers and your tribal community. Many tribals had to leave their forest home in search of work. Many tribal communities, because they have nothing in the forest and they wandering here and there in search of job and some work, by that they can feed their own family. Large number of them were recruited through contractor, and on that time they have not job, then contractor said to them, we can provide you work in the tea plantation far away from areas of they are going from Tamil Nadu, they are going from Andhra Pradesh, Odisha to work in search of the work in Assam. And tea plantation, you know about that. Assam is famous for tea plantation, and they take them as a recruiting the labor, and contractor take them in the Assam plantation for Assam for the tea plantation, and they were paid the low wages and were not allowed to go back home. They feel the bond big bond and indentured labor they were, and we can say that indentured labor. Indentured labor mean कि they were fixed for 10 years or 5 years, and only after 5 years they will come their own home, and in between they never came to their home because they have filled the bond to work there. Okay, and the plight of coal mine workers was no less miserable. Many tribal were also recruited in the factories field under very harsh condition, and they also work in the mines and led a miserable life. They lost because they lost their own forest. All forests were occupied the Britisher, and implemented the for three laws of forest, divided into the three: reserve forest, village forest, and one thing is there: reserve forest, village forest, and protected forest. Okay, and they were not allowed to go there. If they want to take the work from the tribal community, on that time they said to them, if you do the work for us, on that time you can little bit things you can take from the forest. And they led a miserable life there. That's why they going to oppose the Britisher and revolt against them. And tribal revolts, you know about that. Commercialization of agriculture and exploited forest wealth made many tribal homeless and jobless, you know. And Khasis belong to Khasi Hills of northwest Assam. Took place 1829, and the construction of road through their land united many Khasi chiefs against the English under the leadership of Bar Manik. They revolt against the Britisher under the leadership of Bar Manik and Tirut Singh. But Britisher, you know about that, Britisher always played a diplomatic policy towards the people, towards the peasant, towards the tribal community, and they always suppressed the rebellion brutally. Okay, today we have done this page, and tomorrow we will do the next one page. And you also know about you also do the map. Okay, where the communities lying, tribal communities lying in which state. Okay, thank you.